Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sportsballin. I'm Dylan Simmons, joined by my co-host Evan Snyder and TJ Warner. As Heath Ledger's Joker would say, let's get chaotic because it is time for March Madness. Conference tournament time always brings shocks, but this year shocked the system like the Undisputed Era. Among the many wild results were Memphis claiming the AAC crown and Arizona taking the Pac-12. TJ, what stood out to you the most of these conference tournaments?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely Memphis. I mean, they just came out and put a beating on Houston. Now, I know Houston they were without their best player, Sasser, in this game to a groin injury. We really don't know his status on that. That's going to be big for the NCAA tournament here for March Madness as well. But Houston Memphis, they just looked at so much better than Houston that game. I know they weren't without their best player, but still, they controlled the dynamic of that game from start to finish. I mean, it just was a complete dominant show. Kendrick Davis was balling for Memphis, and I mean, if they want to make a run and possibly win a couple games in the tournament, they're going to have to rely on him too. So I think Memphis really surprised me. Another team that surprised me, Penn State making a deep run in the Big Ten tournament. They upsetted 3 teams to get to the conference championship and then almost beat Purdue at the end. They had a shot to beat them at the end with the final shot, and then ended up getting a travel violation. I mean, those 2 teams in general. Then Bama also beating A&M as badly as they did really shocked me. I think that's a really big step and a big momentum swing going into the tournament as well.
Yeah, definitely. You made a lot of good points. You know, and the conference play is just the start of March Madness. It always brings hype, and it always brings a lot of good games. One that I really enjoyed to watch was the Penn State game. I was pretty excited to watch caught a little snippets of that one. And I mean, yeah, it's coming to this, you have a lot of teams that showed that, hey, they could possibly make a deep run in the NCAA tournament just based off of how they did in their conference tournaments.
Yeah, and I got to say, I think that going back to that AAC tournament game, especially the championship game, Memphis prying the title away from Houston, that's absolutely huge. And I actually think that Memphis can make a pretty deep run, maybe Sweet 16, maybe Elite 8. We're going to save that a little bit for later, but I think the Tigers looked pretty darn good. And I know my friend TJ Myers would appreciate that because he's a big Memphis fan. Shout out to him. But the Tigers looked really good. I think they're showing a lot of good stuff. But the ACC was where things got really interesting. Seeing Duke come out of nowhere, I mean, I did not expect that, especially with the way they started out the year to where they are now. Really came out, and of course Miami did what my Hurricanes do. They came out and choked at the end. So thanks Hurricanes for that. Better amend that when March Madness comes around. But also, what happened in North Carolina, guys? I mean, you go from the AP #1 preseason team
not even making the tournament.
Not even making the tournament.
That is crazy.
They declined an invitation to an invitation, I should say, to the NIT. That's not good. I mean, they went as downhill as Cam Newton's shoulder. It just did not work out. No offense to you, Cam, but it just didn't work out. There was a big decline there, and there were problems. But Big East as well. Marquette coming up with a big win over Xavier. UConn not performing as well as maybe they would have liked to. Still a potential contender in the tournament. But, yeah, I think that this is really going to be an interesting preview, and there's a lot that we can take away. But at the end of the day, it is just tournaments when it comes to the conference, and there's a lot more to follow.
Yeah, you can even look at the Big 12 too. I mean, they Texas beating Kansas handily. I know Kansas was out without their head coach Bill Self. Speedy recovery for him. Hopefully he's back for the NCAA tournament. But I still think that's a statement win for Texas. That's going to be
huge win, huge
momentum going into the tournament as well. I mean, and you gotta love it for all the smaller conferences that got their automatic bid. I mean, you just to see the joy on those kids' faces knowing they're going dancing to the tournament. It's awesome to see.
Yeah, because not a lot of times you see mid-major schools make it to the conference tournament sometimes, especially this many of them, or the NCAA tournament, I should say. Yeah, so it's always great to see that excitement, see these guys go out there and potentially make a run. You know, some of them probably won't. Probably be a first-round bounce for some of these guys, but, you know, again, yeah, it's nice to see
they get the chance. They get the chance
at least.
It's nice to see that. They get to put their dancing shoes on and have a shot at doing it, but, I mean, when you go up against like schools like Houston and Purdue and stuff like that, first round, it's kind of bittersweet almost once you see that selection go across the screen.
Definitely is bittersweet, something to look out for. But yeah, very interesting conference tournaments. And guys, get your pens out and tap into your brains like Charles Xavier, because the NCAA men's basketball bracket has now been revealed. The bracket features a number of unique teams and seeding, which includes Houston staying as a #1 seed and Mississippi State in the first 4. What do you guys think is the biggest outlier from this year's bracket?
To me, it was the bubble. I was really surprised about certain teams not making it in the first 4. If you look at, for instance, I think Vanderbilt put a really good body of work together at the end of the year. I thought they should have got a first 4 bid, in my opinion. And then another team you can throw out there, Clemson. I'm surprised Clemson didn't make the tournament. There's another team. And you can even throw out Oklahoma State. That's another, like, there's multiple teams. Oklahoma State played in arguably not even arguably, it's undisputed.
The best conference
in basketball,
yes.
no doubt about it. The Big 12 is the best conference. And to see, like, I don't know, I just don't understand some of the metrics the committee used to maybe round out the end of the bubble. But some teams are a little higher seeded as well. I just don't understand. Like you talked about earlier, Baylor. I agree. I think they're a little overseeded. There's a couple other teams that might be overseeded or underseeded as well.
I mean, I feel like it's a common theme you always get though each year when March Madness does roll around. You get a lot of teams that, hey, I think they should be a little higher in seeding. You get some teams like, I don't think they should be number one overall or the 2 slot even. Or you get some teams, like you just said, TJ, that were on the bubble, like Clemson, Oklahoma State, all those guys you just mentioned that should have gotten in. But the big thing that I took away from this was you have 8 SEC teams and 8 Big Ten teams making into the NCAA bracket as well.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I think the SEC had, I believe, 10 bids in total for it as well, but only 8 of those teams did get in. So that's even a shocker to me to see that many teams in one conference, or at least both conferences in the SEC and the Big Ten, get into the NCAA tournament.
Well, it shows how stacked the conferences really are.
Yeah, it is.
I do think that the Big 12 is the most stacked. It's as stacked as an IHOP pancake, guys. They are very, very stacked. And I got to say, I think Oklahoma State really got the short end of the stick. And I mean, the problem is the committee has a bit of an agenda, I think, against Oklahoma State because this has happened before. Remember the Trae Young Sooners days? Yeah. They got taken away despite beating Oklahoma back then, too. I think that's a problem. Baylor's overseeded as the number 3 seed. They were 22-10. They don't look like the same team. I think they're partially coasting off reputation from that national title a couple years ago. So I don't think that they're the same team. And I also think that you look at Oklahoma State, I think they would have beaten Mississippi State in a neutral arena. I think that they would get that done. So overall, I think that there's a lot of high seeds. And again, the biggest thing is that in a neutral field, in a neutral arena, we're going to see who's the best. And at the end of the day, the seeds don't matter because it's all about performing in the moment.
Yeah.
True.
Yes.
If you make it, you make it. And
exactly.
You got your chance to prove it then. But
exactly. If you make it, you got your chance. So we'll see how it all shakes out. There will certainly be no shortage of intensity in this year's tournament. When we return, we will pick something that daylight saving time takes away from us. Sleepers. We'll have that and our upset picks when we return on Sportsballin.
Suppose now shush. She makes the sound she makes to calm me down.
I'm here. Can you see me? Because I feel like I'm invisible. Like this whole place is invisible. If it weren't for the nightly news, no one would even think of this place. But down here, things look different. Down here, our spirits are bright and our dreams are vivid. And if given a chance, that's what the world would see.
In the past 50 years, we've made a lot of progress in smoking prevention. But if we don't do more, 1 out of every 13 children alive today will die early from smoking. That's 5.6 million precious lives we can save. Together, we can make the next generation tobacco-free.
Welcome back. It's time to bust brackets like UMBC as we're going to pick our upsets for the week. TJ, start it off. What do you have for us?
So my 2 upsets that I'm looking for in this bracket, there's 2 teams that I look directly to. Drake over your Miami Hurricanes.
Oh my God.
Which I agree
and
with.
Furman
Of course.
over Virginia. And let me explain why my Furman over Virginia take. I think Virginia's a defensive team, and they like to beat a team with slow pace. They slow the ball down big time. So they're not really going to blow you out of the water anyway. 65-60 type game. Tony Bennett is completely okay with beating you by 5 points.
This is true.
But Furman, they're a great shooting team. And I think if you keep them in the game late, they can make a resurgence late and have a couple threes to fall in and maybe get a drive and kick situation and then maybe take the lead at the end. I think Furman's going to edge it out close against Virginia. And Drake over Miami, man, they are a hot shooting team. That's a team that you just love to look at. They're 32nd in Division I in three-point percentage, and they shoot 47% from the field. That's a very high number for Drake. And
It is a high number.
They're a team that's Miami's undersized. Let's just be honest. They're undersized, and
They're
I think
a little undersized, but come on.
But
I mean,
that's exactly what you look for in the upsets. Like what teams can match up well with the teams that are supposed to be Division I, Power 5, like supposed to be better, quote unquote better, but who can match up with them enough that they can, if they make a couple shots, they can win that game. I think Drake and Miami put the U down. No you. No,
yes,
U's down.
Yes, you up. You up.
I think Furman over Virginia and Drake over Miami, and those are the 2 reasons why.
I mean, I'm gonna agree with TJ on both of these ones. I like Furman just based off the statistics. Also, too, you down. Come on now. I would love to see, potential U breaking over the knee that's been going around recently. That'd be amazing from Drake. But yeah, I think you just look at the stats of it, and TJ brought up some really good points. Miami is a smaller team, not a lot of big guys on their team compared to Drake, and Furman also too, all the points as well. So I mean,
Isaiah Wong is Miami's only good player. Let's just be real. That's it. They play four. They play four guards at one time always, and Drake is matching up with them just fine, and they're gonna stay in front of them.
Yeah, so I'm gonna agree with TJ on both those points, but my big upset, it's gonna be Oral Roberts over Duke.
Whoa.
I know.
Whoa.
This is a huge
What?
one. But you look at Max Asmus, who was on the team 2 years ago that made a run in the NCAA tournament. He's back. He's one of their leading scorers as well. He's right now averaging 22.2 points a game. And you also, too, you have Connor Vanover, 7'5". Dude is 7'5".
He's got some height.
And he can shoot. Guy can shoot from beyond the arc.
He's got a strap. He can shoot it from deep.
And he's the leading rebounder as well. He has right now averaging 7.2 rebounds a game. And I think if you got a guy who is 7'2" or 7'5" who can shoot, you have Max Asmus also there to back him up. I think honestly, Oral Roberts has at least a really good shot at beating Duke.
Yeah, I think that overall that they're going to have a shot. I'm going to make mine quick here, but I think that St. Mary's is going to lose to VCU. That's my first prediction. I think St. Mary's just continues to choke year in and year out. I don't know why they're a 5 seed. To me, they just had the same sort of statement. And I think Virginia, we know they choke. We've seen what's happened before. Remember back to the Golden Retrievers. They give them nightmares. Furman's going to beat them. And I'm going to go for the big one. Colgate total is going to beat Texas. It's going to happen. And I think that, Texas has a lot of momentum, but Colgate, they're just on a different level right now. And I think they're going to show that. And, they may not have the same talent, what you normally see. But here's the thing with Colgate. There's got to be an upset. There's got to be a major upset, 15-2. And I've seen Colgate's got a lot of momentum. They're playing really well in their conference. I saw what they did in the conference tournament. They're going to come out well. I think somebody is going to electrify this tournament like Pikachu. When we come back, we are going to ramp up the intensity because we will pick our Final Four. That's coming up when we return. Stick around.
America, welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, pet them, care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can bring them with you wherever you go. You can jump, yell, hide and go seek, play dress up, or not. Go for a walk, or not. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that. But you can adopt one.
'Cause we're connected. We're connected.
From Iraq and Afghanistan, our brave warriors are coming home, wounded. Some with wounds you can see, some with wounds you can't see. Wounded Warrior Project was created to support our men and women coming off the battlefield. Please help carry these warriors the rest of the way home. Get involved at woundedwarriorproject.org.
It's now time for our hot takes to roast like super hot fire as we pick our final four for March Madness. Who's making it to the promised land, TJ?
So for my Final Four picks, I have Alabama, Duke, Texas, and UConn. I'll tell you why. I think Alabama doesn't really face a hard team until the Elite Eight when they play Arizona. Duke, on the other hand, they have to kind of go through a little gauntlet, in my opinion. I think they have to play Purdue, is who I have a matchup against. In the Sweet 16, I have them beating Purdue. Then I have them beating Kansas State to go to the Final Four.
Okay.
And then for UConn, I have UConn knocking off the number 1 seed Kansas and then beating Gonzaga in the Elite Eight to go to the Final Four. They go through a little bit tougher road as well. And Texas, I think that Midwest bracket, I think there can be so many upsets. I really don't know where that bracket's going to go. But I have Texas overcoming Houston in the Elite Eight possibly to go to the Final Four. So that's my Final Four picks.
I'm going to agree with TJ on Alabama because Bama arguably been one of the better teams in college basketball this year. Then I'm going with Purdue. Again,
Purdue? Okay.
Really solid team so far this year.
Fairly solid.
I think they don't necessarily have a cakewalk in their bracket, but I definitely think they could dominate their entire bracket. Then I'm going Texas A&M.
Ooh.
They're going to have to go through a bit of a gauntlet. Don't get me wrong, but I think they have what it takes to last throughout it, and they might run into some trouble, obviously, the first round, even into the Sweet 16, but I think they overcome it.
The Aggies.
And they get through. And then my last one is going to be Gonzaga. They won a national championship a couple of years ago. And I think, again, they can just make a run deep in the NCAA tournament.
Okay, well, I'm going to go off on a limb and say Alabama's not going to win their division.
Ooh.
I think I'm going to pick Arizona. I think it will be Arizona, Alabama in the Elite Eight, but I think the Wildcats, they're playing with something special right now. They just won the Pac-12, showed their stuff. Yeah, Alabama just won the SEC themselves, but look out for this Wildcat team. They've got a really good rotation of players. I think the depth is really going to be a huge factor in that one, too. I'm looking over as well to the next division, which is going to be the East, and I think it's going to be Marquette. I like Marquette, and I'm a big East fan, as you know. My two teams are Miami and Villanova, and I think
Bandwagon.
not a bandwagon. But that's another hot take for another time.
Teams,
but Marquette's been playing really good. I think they're going to get it done. I think when you talk about the next division, which is going to be the West, it's really a toss-up. We could see a lot of teams win that one. I think Kansas is going to take it, though. I think they get it in over UCLA. Really tough battle there. And I think for my final pick, I'm going to go with Houston. I think it's going to really depend if Sasser comes back. I think he will. I think they'll get the job done. It's definitely going to be great when these are busted by the end of the first round, guys. On the other side of this break, we will give our March Madness themed picks of the week. Make sure to stick around.
to force. Now shush. She makes the sound she makes to calm me down. She makes the sound she makes knee deep in the North Sea.
I'm here. Can you see me? Because I feel like I'm invisible. Like this whole place is invisible. If it weren't for the nightly news, no one would even think of this place. But down here, things look different. Down here, our spirits are bright and our dreams are vivid. And if given a chance, that's what the world would see.
In the past 50 years, we've made a lot of progress in smoking prevention. But if we don't do more, 1 out of every 13 children alive today will die early from smoking. That's 5.6 million precious lives we can save. Together, we can make the next generation tobacco-free.
Welcome back to Sportsballin. It is time for our picks of the week. So let's start it out. We're going to have first up Southeast Missouri State taking on Texas A&M Corpus Christi Tuesday at 5:40. Guys, what are we thinking?
I have Texas A&M Corpus Christi in this one. SEMO got past Tennessee Tech in their conference championship game just by the skin of their teeth. Tech hit a buzzer beater to send it to overtime, but then they edged them out in overtime. But I have Texas A&M Corpus Christi in this one.
I'm going to base mine off a minor league baseball team. Shout out to Corpus Christi Hooks. But I'm going to go with Texas A&M Corpus Christi on this one.
This one's going to be interesting. And again, I'm not super familiar with either one of these teams, but I will say that when I check the head-to-head and when I look at what they did in each of their individual conferences, Corpus Christi stood out to me just a little bit more. Pretty good record overall. I believe they're 22 or 23-10, and they've had a lot more consistency overall throughout the season. I think that bodes well for them here. I think Corpus Christi gets it done. So I'm going to take Texas A&M Corpus Christi, and I know some people may get confused because some people think it's actually Texas A&M, but it is Corpus Christi, just to clarify.
I don't know if that's good. Difference. We went 3-0 on Texas A&M Corpus Christi right there. Now watch SEMO win.
Watch SEMO win.
Yeah, that'll be our luck.
Of course. All right. Next up, we've got Pittsburgh versus Mississippi State, Tuesday at 8:10.
I have Pitt bouncing back from the ACC bad loss tournament against Duke. I think they're going to beat Mississippi State. Mississippi State does have really good inside post play. I think Pitt still gets the job done, though.
No surprise from Mr. Pittsburgh himself. But I'm going to go with Mississippi State on this one. Shout out to the Bulldogs. I just like Mississippi State on this one.
Mr. Pittsburgh himself. Well, I'm going to say this. I do think that both of these teams have some talent. I don't know if Mississippi State here, though, has the better head-to-head against Pittsburgh. Now, again, I'm a bit of an ACC fan myself, but I really like what Pittsburgh has shown this year. And I think that in the ACC tournament, they had a lot of potential that they maybe didn't get to show as much. And they played good against some really good teams. I think that they're going to be able to take out Mississippi State. And honestly, I want to see an ACC team beat an SEC team because so much I hear about how great the SEC is. And I think it would be awesome to see one of these ACC teams come away with a big victory. So I think the Panthers get it done. And, I mean, TJ, do you think this one's going to be close? How close do you think it's going to be?
I think this is going to be a close game. But I think, ultimately, the winner of this game, I think they have a really good shot to beat Iowa State in the round of 64. I think both of these teams, whether it's Mississippi State or Pittsburgh, I think they both have a really good shot. Iowa State Cyclones, I mean, they're an up and down, very inconsistent team. One week they'll go out there and beat Kansas by 15, and the next week they'll lose to Texas Tech by 30. Like it's like you don't know what Iowa State team you're going to get. But I ultimately like Pittsburgh in this matchup, and I think they're ultimately Going to beat the Bulldogs, then beat the Cyclones in the round of 64 as well.
I could see that, and here's the thing also about the first four, going off on a bit of a tangent here. The thing with the first four is a lot of people like to underestimate it and not think it's important, but I mean, look at what UCLA did in 2020. That shows that you can make it all the way and be one of these first four teams. So a lot of people like to look past it. These are very important matchups, so we'll make sure to keep an eye on that. Next up, we've got Fairleigh Dickinson versus Texas Southern Wednesday at 5:40. That's a tongue twister, guys. What are you thinking?
I have Texas Southern. I think Texas Southern can really shoot the ball very well, and maybe I'm a little biased, but Fairleigh Dickinson shouldn't be in the tournament. They didn't win their conference tournament. Merrimack won the conference tournament, but because they're just now in Division I, they have to take the NCAA 4 years to become
probation rule.
Become tournament eligible. I don't like that. I don't think Fairleigh Dickinson should be in the tournament because of that. Sorry, hate to say it, but I'm taking Texas Southern because of Merrimack.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the same thing, basically same points TJ made. I'm going to Texas Southern on this one. I think it's just a dumb rule. I feel like that's a hot take for another time that we could probably save, because I feel like all three of us could probably talk on that a lot. But yeah, I'm gonna go Texas Southern on this one. Same points as TJ. NCAA, get rid of your suspension, your probation rule. It's dumb. If a team deserves to be there, they deserve to be there. But that's a hot take for another time.
I mean, this probation rule affects not just basketball. We've seen it with football as well.
James Madison in football.
Every sport, honestly.
I
mean, I think of James Madison in football. They were probably one of the better teams in the Sun Belt. Didn't get to play for the conference championship. I don't get the rule, and I think Merrimack deserves justice. So again, NCAA, please fix the rule. But we're going to go off on a tangent if we do that. I do think Texas Southern showed a lot of consistency, and they do have a subpar record, but the important thing is they've been playing with form late. That's huge, especially in this season. I'm a firm believer in the philosophy of if you play good at the end of the season, that bodes well for you going in. A lot of people just like to look at what teams did earlier on in the year, don't focus as much on what happens later. This is a time where I think it's going to be very important. I think they get it done.
And that's a good philosophy to kind of live by, because, I mean, it really doesn't all matter until playoffs happen.
Right.
So, and we've seen in the past couple of years, teams that, probably have no right to being in the NCAA tournament make deep runs in, like, St. Peter's last year, when they made it to
Elite Eight.
They made it to Elite Eight, which a lot of people
shows
didn't
how far
they
it
beat the
can be.
National Player of the Year,
and honestly, too,
Oscar Tshiebwe last year.
True, and I think a lot of, too, like we talked about it a little bit, we went off on that little tangent, but any of these teams in the Final Four,
any of these teams could absolutely make it. And I think that's going to be crucial to see, is if they've got the potential to make it. But last but not least, we've got Nevada versus Arizona State Wednesday at 8:10. Guys, what do you think?
I have Nevada in this one. I think this one's be a little bit closer. Arizona State did beat Arizona earlier this year on a buzzer beater, but I have Nevada in this one.
I'm going to go Arizona State on this one, because why not?
Why not? Why not? All right, here's what I will say. I think Nevada plays a lot more consistency. With a lot more consistency. Arizona State's a team that I don't think I was very impressed by in the Pac-12 tournament. And this Mountain West Conference, I mean, we shouldn't underestimate them.
They're legit.
They're legit. I mean, you look at teams like San Diego State, New Mexico, there's some talent in that conference. And I think Nevada really spearheads that. I think they're going to get this done. I don't know if a lot of people are giving them as much of a chance, but I think if Nevada gets in the tournament, they could even make a little bit of issue for some of these other teams.
Yeah, I think they could actually cause a problem for TCU. I think that's a matchup nightmare for TCU.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a TCU fan, you're probably rooting for Arizona State in this game, honestly.
For sure.
I think. Because if you look at Arizona, their net rank is 37th, which is not bad at all for a team that's going to be an 11th seed, and their strength of schedule is 24th. Mountain West is a deep conference. People don't know enough about it. Boise State's in the Mountain West. It's a deeper conference people don't know about. The Martin twins that are in the NBA, they came from Nevada. Watch out for them.
Exactly. Watch out for them. Very legit, very deep conference. But, guys, it's time to go back into our darkness retreat like Aaron Rodgers and call it a day. Remember to catch Sportsballin every week right here on Blue Raider Television. For Evan Snyder and TJ Warner, I'm Dylan Simmons saying so long, and remember to have an electric night.